People are distracted. People remain complacent. Most people stay tuned. Few pay attention. What does it mean to pay attention? Attention is the next stage in the development of our model, the stage in which consciousness begins to develop in earnest. Attention is the intentional act of vesting awareness with energy. Rather than vesting energy in a center, rather than concentration, attention increases the totality of our awareness. Distraction, on the other hand, removes energy from awareness. Distraction implies a lack of intention. Attention doesn't just happen to us. Attention is intentional. It is not involuntary or accidental. Intention is an emerging conscious springboard for action. Intention arises from budding consciousness, rather than the separate self. The separate self is capable of willful action, concentration, and distraction, but not attention. Will is the sum of energy possessed by a separate self. Will is fragmented, as separate selves vie for a limited amount of energy. Attention increases awareness by divesting energy from the separative patterns that harness that energy. Energy is divested from the contraction. Energy is divested from chronic thought. This divestment does not just happen to us like sleep. It does not occur involuntarily. Attention cannot occur willfully, since willful action only reinforces the separate self. The divestment of energy from the separate self and its investment into awareness with attention is an intentional act arising from consciousness itself. Consciousness develops. It gains strength. It grows. The increase of awareness as the act of attention vests awareness with energy at the expense of the contraction, accelerates the energy of our being, and creates a further development in our model, what I call the force of consciousness. The force can be experienced throughout the body like an electromagnetic energy. The force is conscious energy. When the energy of which awareness consists is circulated, accelerated to a certain degree, it becomes conscious. What is consciousness? It remains a mystery at this stage of development. Consciousness is emerging as something like self-awareness in which there is no conflict, no dilemma. At this stage, we only have fleeting moments of consciousness. As we continue to pay attention, however, consciousness grows. With the development of conscious energy, we begin to experience directly what I refer to as the energetic body, which is the body of awareness that interpenetrates the physical body. It is the potential body of consciousness, if the energy of which it consists attains a high enough rate of oscillation, when the sum of the necessary components for that oscillation are in place. The energetic body is the being who we are. At this stage of development, it possesses little definition. It is diffuse. It does not yet possess integrity. It is not yet a legitimate individual, a soul. It leaks. It suffers countless internal conflicts. Broken circuits in our energetic body reflect the lapses of continuity in our consciousness. At this stage in our development, we begin to recognize consciousness by its absence. We recognize that we are not fully conscious. Now consciousness ceases to be a mystery and becomes a question. A question is the definition of a problem. The problem is, we are not fully conscious. We do not really know who we are. But we do know enough to formulate the question, who am I? Holding on to this question further unfolds our conscious potential. What I call self-enquiry is a process of formulating questions, not to elicit answers, but to facilitate conscious development. Self-enquiry is epitomized by the question, "Who am I?" This question resides at the core of every question. Self-enquiry is an intentional process of formulating questions to provoke insights. An insight is an expansion of consciousness. Insight, or inspiration, does not arise from external objects, but from an increase in consciousness, a prolongation of the continuity of consciousness. Consciousness grows, and the separative perspective diminishes. Self-enquiry applies pressure on the separative perspective. Self-enquiry disrupts chronic thought. Insights shock the separate self. As a result, fewer selves exist within one's being. One's being becomes more unified. Self-enquiry coincides with or facilitates what I call right conduct. Right conduct occurs when we hold on to the question of consciousness. The conscious energy or force of our being expands and rises toward a point infinitely above the top of the head. Right conduct shores up the leaks in our energetic body. Right conduct restores the circuit of the force. This increases our retention of energy and the continuity of our consciousness. At this point in our development, a shift occurs. The separative perspective dissolves. We rediscover who we are, not as thinkers, not as separate selves, but as the witness of these. By divesting energy from false identifications, the energy of which we consist is redistributed, reinvested into sensory awareness. This results in heightened bodily awareness, what I refer to as the witness. The witness is not a legitimate individual or even a separate entity, but merely heightened bodily awareness. The witness is the process of awareness itself, not consciousness. Awareness implies a separation between subject and object. Awareness implies an awareness of something. The separate self is an identification with a subject who is aware of an object. The witness is essentially the absence of identification with the subject. From the vantage of the witness, both subject and object occur as objects within the process of awareness itself. In other words, the center of gravity of one's being has shifted from identification with the subject to identification with the process of awareness itself. The process of awareness itself, however, does not exist independent of its constituent components, the body-mind. The witness possesses neither will nor intention. The witness is incapable of action. It is essentially an involuntary phenomenon. From the perspective of the witness, there is neither need nor ability to divest energy from thought or the contraction. Thought and the contraction are merely appearances, objects within awareness. The witness possesses no continuity of existence. It is subject to sleep, distraction, and death. It is not self-evident. What is self-evident is conscious.